Welcome everyone. It's August 21st, 2013. It's our remote viewing practice session for the week or 2 weeks. We have several folks here, a couple of new people, Richie and Pat from over across the water in Ireland and UK. So I'm always sorry and apologetic that I can't do this on a user-friendly time frame for everybody. Lynn can't be with us tonight. He and Paul Smith are actually entertaining a group from Japan, filming group. So I'm not sure what's going on, if it's a documentary or just what the inside scoop is on that. But Lynn said if they got back from dinner in time, and he would try to drop in, but I am not counting on that. So, okay, let me go ahead and switch over to my desktop so we can see the feedback. And for you folks who don't do this often, you'll see, I'm sure people wonder what the heck, but my eyes go to the right a lot because I am looking over there to see if we have any newcomers arriving or if there are any comments in the chat area. So I don't sit here and stare at the webcam camera continually. All right, let's get rid of that. And here is your feedback for target 130821. Kite flying in San Diego. And because we have people here from all methodologies, and because Lynn, as I was saying earlier, speaks the language of perception-based remote viewing and other methodologies, you know, I've always wanted this to be open to anybody who could come. In Lynn's school, he teaches from day one sight contact. So we don't start out on, kitty cats in a window or something, quiet and only has 1 or 2 gestalts. We have lots of things that would interest lots of people because people are different. So gestalts are land, water, air, natural, organic, and this particular target has several and man-made. The kites are man-made. You have lots of sensories with colors and sights and sounds because, as you can see, they're on the ocean front in San Diego, so you're going to expect to hear those kinds of sounds. You're going to expect to see or hear people sounds. Things about motion would be expected. One person got eyes, and we'll discuss that here in a minute. But this particular target does not have a lot of history and text to go along with it, which we also recommend that if you do a session, you research your target site, if at all possible, if you know what it is, because your camera lens, your subconscious mind might be zoomed out and is picking up something just out of camera range. And your subconscious is doing good work. It just doesn't happen to be in this feedback photo. And if you are at a candy making event and, there's something going on that would pertain to candy making just to the left, it makes sense. You don't cheat and say and waffle and whatever, but at least you learn, you increase your personal knowledge of world things, activities, events, cultures, purposes, and you also increase your subconscious's trust, because if it thinks that you're going to accept junk, then it's going to learn to cheat, just like a kid in school. Cheating's okay. That's not what you want. But if it did do something good, you want to give it credit for that, because if you don't, it's going to give up and go do something else. Why bother? Because you don't trust what it's telling you. So that's why we encourage some homework on your part to research the site. So there's going to be a lot of people here who probably don't think they did very well. And let's see here. We'll go with Richie. And I just grabbed one out of the air because between you and Pat because you're over there losing sleep. So Richie's got 11 pages here, and we're going to scroll down through it. And Richie is actually an advanced viewer, operational. But operational viewers need practice as well. So he's gotten multiple gestalts right here in his very first ideogram. And he's already in phase 2 with lots of descriptors. And he's going to get down to a summary where he decides what is his conscious mind jumping in trying to name things and what his remote or his subconscious actually remote viewed and he recorded. So we've got all kinds of sensory impressions going on, and picture of a landscape, and I mean colors, and got water, circular in motion. The target is in front of me and all around it. Okay, and so he's got a sketch that he has then labeled. See if I can make this just a touch smaller, not by much. But make it too small, then it doesn't show up on the recording and people can't see it. But he has areas of his sketch labeled, and then he's probed them for perceptions. Like over here in 1, he's got hard, wet-like, flat, chamber-like, dark, and bright. And let me see if I can get this feedback photo over alongside. Ew, that didn't work. I cut, whoops, somebody else is here. Oh, Marco's here from Iceland. Man, I tell you what, we got people losing sleep to hang out with us today. Okay. There, that's what I want. Get rid of that thing. All right. So up here in his sight orientation, if Richie has landed and he says it's in front of him, so hopefully he's viewing just like the picture. Up here, we'll be up there. Number 1, hard, wet-like, flat, chamber-like, dark and bright. 2 is over just a little bit. And Richie, anytime you want to jump in, I don't know if your lines here mean any kind of motion or anything. White, echo like, still like, spray, white, like, and water and big. You know, it's not hard, but that looks like chambers. That's interesting. Brown, strong, green, shiny, reflective, dull, warm, dark, energy, it's alive, vibration, buzz light. See, that's number 3. You know, I don't know if anybody knows, we've got one of those cylinder type of kites here, and sometimes they twirl. Then number 4 is strong, powerful motion, peaceful, apprehension, sound like gushing water. That's 4, so that's over here. Keeps me busy just scrolling. And 6 is still strong, dark, and white. And then we've got rock-like, white, gray, bear-like, down, open, brown, soft, high, above. Okay? Now we're in phase 4, working perceptions. And he says his AI, if he feels small there, it's a big place. And so it feels like a pleasant place. So I was going down through his sketch probings for you folks who haven't been here before. We've got multiple circular biological humans and also animals, bear skin-like. I wonder if we got some stuff on the ground, blanket maybe. Not fudging, just can't see it. Traditional skirts live in Hawaii. Altitude, it's hard to breathe. Place that I visited, special meaning, tribal place, a place of great beauty, special place of energy. Something natural happens here, and it's remote. And he's doing some Mongolian writing, and telling me about this place. So it's like an interview. And everybody's feeling pretty happy here. Ambiance is thump-like, and there's chamber-like. Yellow, slow, curved, and high. Canopy-like. Covered in, covered something. Covered something, and green. Surrounded, ambiance is surrounded in stillness. I wonder if you're flying, if you're on a kite, for heaven's sake. Moving forward and in circles. So let's get down to a summary. Peaceful and exploring. Target has elements of land, biological, natural, water, and energy. Land is green-gray, open, bright, hard, rounded, dark, angle-like, hill, high, circular, down, biological, human, multiple, curved, rocky levels, multiple, wet-like, flat, with chamber-like, and still, big, brown, deep, soft, high above, outdoors, covered, underfoot, stillness, ambiance, biological, human, and biological animals, and I've got spread out. Now, one thing I'd like to say, when he's written it like this, if I were to analyze his session, because he knows structure, things wouldn't be all lumped in like this. And if I were a customer knowing anything about the site, because it looks like, well, he's got like everything in the dictionary there. How do you know what's what? If he moves around that target, if he can get oriented and through structure, I know where he's at, this would be valuable information for a customer who knew what they were looking for. If everything is unknown to the customer, like if somebody was a missing person, you had absolutely no idea where in the entire world they were, it gets a little tough. And you probably would need to retask several times just to get initial perceptions and start working your way through, trying to see what might repeat and what might make sense. Because CRD was developed as an assistive means of intelligence gathering, not to be the only thing that somebody deployed resources based on. So we have a lot of biologicals at the site, and they're dark blue. There's water, circular motion, and human, multiple. We've got a lot of stuff mixed in with the biological here. Rocky green levels. And when you're viewing, you've got stuff coming in from all over when you're in the earlier stages. Peaceful apprehension, open, high above, feels small here. Pleasant place, talking, shouting, outdoors, covered, rounded, big space, biological animal, foreign, happy here, and that's the comma there, smiling, canopy-like, big space, full, Asian, white, chanting, smiling, laughing, moving forward and in circles, small, affects stomach, chest area, very lightly at one with the place and exploring and peaceful. The natural has hilly, dark brown, green, twisted, open, white, bright, hard, rounded, angle, high, motion, down, yellowy, biological, human, multiple curved, rocky levels, wet, there's echoes, still, spray, water, big, energy, alive, vibration, buzz, like energy, powerful motion, sound, gushing water, which is deep and it sounds like an echo. Thunder like, I have no idea if there's like waves or rocks over there beyond that. Looks like a hedge. And there's rumbling, soft, high above, outdoors, covered big space. And canopy like spiral. The water's deep, dark, flowing, gushing spray, powerful motion, rocky, soft, strong, cleaning, cleansing, energy. That's a ton of perceptions. What you want is to report perceptions, not nouns, and not your conscious mind trying to jump in. Because like that, this is actually a kite, but it looks like a beach, or it could be a red beach ball if you wanted to name it, and you'd be completely wrong. So you don't want to name what something is, you want to describe it. So, you know, this could be pillowy, floaty, red, round shaped, orb-like, and off the backside, you know, it's brown, pointy, floaty motion. And what you do is when you're practicing, you look at each perception and ask yourself, is there something at the site that matches? And that's not to cheat. It's just to say, you start picking up a pattern of things that you can pick up and things that you don't. It's like, I never get any sounds. So you start giving yourself actual commands to listen for sounds. I never pick up anything that has to do with people. I never get anything that has to do with water or whatever. And that's all about training. And right now, you know, we're in training or practice. And so the rules are to describe the sensories, the dimensionals, the purpose, the concepts, relationships, patterns of what you perceive in session. Richie, where are you on my little list of, uh-oh, I'm not finding Richie. Thought he was here. Did I make that up? Maybe he already saw the feedback and decided that he needed some sleep more than he needed to listen to me. So, anybody have any questions about his work? He got a ton of perceptions, and there are different biologicals here. We have trees, grass, hedges, people, and then you have your people, male, female, children, and your relationships of size and numbers. And yes, Pat, go. Oops, wrong person. My cursor landed on the wrong one. Yes, sir.
Hey, I think it's a pretty good session in terms of he's covered a lot of elements which are there. Maybe you could argue he hasn't got much in the way of kites, but if you think of their being at the site, they're in the photograph, sure, but in terms of like their presence at the site, it's not major. So, if you think of a 3D view of the site, a complete plan of it, you wouldn't maybe expect to get much in the way of kites, and then again, maybe you would. It depends on what your sensitivity is, and also, just whether you look up when you're viewing.
Right.
If you just see what's there, but also what's out of your field of vision, or you build it up layer by layer. That's another way of doing it. So actually, I think that's for a training session. It's very good.
When you start looking and picking out what he got as far as the motion, and you have to put yourself at the event. And if you've never flown a kite, you don't know what one's like. But like I want to point at it like it's going to give me something here. But like this one right here, this one here, I would almost bet that it makes noise. And I don't want to make this noise on camera, but I bet you they make little, I don't know, even.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, because I was going to cover up the camera and I was going to do it. But yeah, go like that. You know what I'm saying? But and like look at the tail that's coming off this one that looks like an octopus, or actually Casper the Ghost too. But there's going to be flappy noises and canopy. I mean, this one that's still on the ground looks like a canopy. And actually over off to the right, there's a sailboat. So if you can hear the wind in the sails on the sailboat, that's going to make noise. And this one up here that looks like it could be, I would say a stingray. I can't tell what's on top of it, that it's got the two tails off the side and then the point coming down the back, and then the four, like a baffle. Those four chambers that are like baffles. So anyway, when you start looking at each of his perceptions and asking yourself, if I were at a kite flying event, and then you look at the photo and you start figuring out, yes, you know, this would be there, that would be there. Go ahead.
One question.
Yeah.
Did you say this is San Francisco Bay we're looking at, or is it a different bay?
San Diego.
San Diego. Okay, that gives me a location to check, because if I don't know where it is, it's kind of hard to research. Okay, I'll shut my mic down.
Because you can actually plug the photo into Google and it will locate, you know, exactly where it is. So, there's Richie. Good. I don't feel so bad now. Hey, I'm glad to see you're back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't do it, whatever it was.
I'm here anyway.
We just gave you a lot of high praise.
Oh, good.
We were just talking about if you were actually at a kite flying event, the sounds that would be there. And actually, some of the sounds we made were a little odd. I can't even begin to imagine what they're going to sound like. But, you know, you've got flapping and twirling and, you know, the sailboat sounds. You've got all kinds of biologicals there. You have a tree, bushes, hedges, all sizes, shapes, genders, ages of people. And you have an amazing amount of stuff.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if I could expand away from that about the water, the gushing water and things like that. And is that place, is it a special place? Where exactly is it?
It's in San Diego, and Pat was just talking about it. You can take this photo and plug it into Google and see if it has, like, you know, annual kite flying festival in San Diego, and get some history.
Okay, yeah.
And I was encouraging everybody to do that with their sessions. You can also zoom in on this photo and see if there's stuff there that you didn't pick up or didn't know about. It still looks like there's even kites on the ground. There's two back there by that building. One, you know, two or three, and another looks like in the foreground. Could be a towel, maybe not. But there are kites all over the place. Any words for us as far as learning curves or anything that you picked up on or what have you?
No, I just said it was a place of relaxation, you know. And it was a sort of a special place, but you know, obviously it's a place where people like to go. So I was getting that ambience feeling of it, that it was nice to be there.
And actually the tasking, which I did not put on this paper, was, which I could for the webinar. I don't know if people probably yell at me for that, but the tasking, the target is an activity at a location. Describe the target.
Yeah, well, I didn't have that, you see. I just did it without any loading, because I just took the number one day and I had it with me in case I had a chance to do it. So I never took the loading. So.
But believe it or not, front loading and tasking are different. And if I were setting this up for a customer, this could also be the customer. You wouldn't be front loaded with this necessarily. But I am kind of happy that you didn't focus on the bridge. You focused on the kite flying. or I would think it looks like, in the crowd. I was very happy to see that.
Okay.
But a ton of stuff there, man. Wow. How long did you spend on that?
I was 11, and I took a break, 25, but I took a 3-hour break. So
okay.
12 to 16 to 4 hours. Was it? Yeah, probably just over an hour doing the work. Okay. But I had a break.
Wow, your pen was flying.
Yeah, I had to know what I was doing. I just kept writing down the perceptions, and I was at work, you see, so I had to go off and do stuff and come back. So
yeah,
but that's how I like to do it. I like to start, and then this well-worn path. I like to go in and out a few times to get more perceptions. I think that's the way I do it. Now I know you have to do it under pressure too. That you haven't got time to do that, but that's the honest anyway.
Sometimes I think it's kind of nice to set a speed mark for yourself, just so you kind of get used to working under the gun. Yeah. But really, you can take a break and do as many sessions as you want, and retask yourself and give yourself move commands, and it's your session. You get to practice as long as you want.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Yours was just kind of the first session I grabbed because I was feeling bad. You're over there losing sleep.
Yeah, it's 20 to 2 here now. So I'll hang around a bit longer and then I'll go to bed.
Okay. And Marco, also, did you send in a session? Because if you sent one, I need to find it. Morning, Marco. Marco in Iceland. Hello.
Hello, this is Iceland.
Hi.
No, hi everybody. No, unfortunately, no session.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted to make sure that I found it, and because I thought you might have just sent it or something. So, not to put you on the spot, just didn't want to leave you out. Okay.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm just gonna enjoy the conversation.
All right. Let me grab Pat because he is also over there burning his sleep time in the UK. So, Pat, you get really good perceptions. I'll get in trouble for this. She's trying to convert him to CRV. That's my strong suit, teaching that. And I am so sorry, I just hiccuped. I know you're getting sight contact. I think you could be getting a ton more stuff. And would actually really like to see you start working targets just a little long. How long did you work this?
20 minutes, not long.
20 minutes. Oh, just 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Inhabited for a time, it is more likely visitor attraction. Cooler lake, but inside, there is a building there. I don't know what's in there. And you can hear water.
I've got a provisional address for the target site if you want me to post it.
I didn't get it. You call it what?
I've got a provisional address, like where the target site is, if you want me to post it up.
Sure. If you want to go ahead and put it in the little chat box.
It's on the chat box. That should be where the site is in terms of a map. For those who Google it will find it.
The only thing is, if you folks click on that, some of you, it's going to throw you out of, not everybody, some people.
Yeah, don't click on it yet, but just copy and paste it somewhere.
Right. So, you're outside and you're having AOLs of Mount Rushmore, which reminds you of Mount Rushmore, whatever. And water is very important to the site's purpose. People used to live here. Animals lived here. You know?
But, yeah, it was sort of like a past contact. There was no habitation there, but there was a sense of people. Yeah, once it was a habitation site, but now it isn't. It's a different site, changed.
So you think you might not have landed in time at the the subconscious views or reports perceptions in present tense. So
yeah,
you think you landed in pioneer times or something?
No. It was present time perception.
Well,
but also
the present time of the picture is maybe nobody inhabits it. I was going to say, actually, people may live in the park at night. You never know.
It's unlikely, but when you see the map, you'll see it's completely isolated by water. There's only one pathway onto it.
Oh, okay.
So at night time, it's pretty secure. I wouldn't think it's inhabited.
Okay.
What's the giveaway? Is the bridge in the background?
Yeah.
That makes it very easy to track down where it is.
And so is there a name for this place other than San Diego?
Embarcadero Marina Park South. There's one on the south side, one on the north side of the harbour. But if you like, they're almost islands, they're peninsulas, but they're dedicated greenfields, they're dedicated parks. So, yeah, you could camp out the night on them if you were kind of resourceful and you sneaks over the fence. But in terms of like having a water supply, having a toilet, they're kind of exposed. You're surrounded by San Diego, so it's not an ideal skipping spot, as street people say. It's very, very exposed. It's not the sort of place you want to be.
So are you saying as parks go, this kind of is a primitive park?
No, not at all.
Okay.
In terms of like ideal for people living there on the sly, it's not the sort of place I'd choose. It's way too exposed for that.
Okay.
Because okay. Anyway, that's conjecture or speculation. Let's get back to this because most of what I put down is wrong, quite frankly. Top sketch is vaguely reminiscent of the bridge, vaguely, but it's not great.
Why I was hoping that because you did have some stuff up here, and so far as the outdoors and
that's where I began, yeah.
And the visitor attraction, I thought that I was hoping that maybe, and you've got engineered sites. I mean, it does take engineering to create these places, but
well, it's got square edges. It's definitely artificial. It's definitely there's no way you can have a square-edged island naturally.
I gotcha. And I wasn't meaning just the island, but I see what you're saying, and it is a section.
Sure.
So I was wondering, I don't know how you go about getting site contact, but I always recommend new people to try taking ideograms 3 times. Now, whether or not that works, if Lynn were here, he would be all chattering on. But, and I don't want to ruin your methodology, but I was wondering if maybe you could take ideograms more than once or twice, and if it would help at all do you start out with a sketch?
Well,
and probe it, or?
I'll start with the tag and then the ideogram.
Yeah.
I generally stick with the original ideogram, as it were, because that's subconsciously created. That is the squiggle that comes from nowhere, containing supposedly all the elements of the site. I don't repeat that. What I do, and I recommend to others, is to repeat the tag, just to try and get in contact with the site again when you drift away.
Right.
And I haven't done that. I tell other people to do it. I haven't done it either here. But it's repeating the tag or repeating the ideogram. I find it easier to repeat the tag. And if you like, keep a hand on the ideogram or try and see more from the ideogram, try and decode it better. Because if you like, that's kind of like stage 1 build through. If you can get something from the ideogram and keep teasing it out, that's where it builds from. In CRV terms, anyway. It's very much based around the ideogram. So that's kind of like what I started with, and I've kept going that way.
Yeah.
In terms of like written sessions. So not great. Some things there, but it's like I said, I won't too much. Kind of similar to the other one I did. I'm drawn towards the subterranean for some reason. And it's just not there. It's just not there. That's a miss. It's got to be. You can't have a cave on an island surrounded by water. It floods.
Yeah.
So, that is a miss for sure. But in terms of some of the other sections, they're okay. But it's not great content.
By the way, pillars and, the bridge, pillars and supports, buttress. That works for a bridge.
After that, I've got an area of cloisters, like old monastery, old build. Traditional architecture is very religious based.
And Lynn would tell
Obviously, AOL.
Lynn would tell you narrow, tall windows, not stained glass, no glass. But what your conscious mind is naming as tall windows, a lot of these kites are colorful like stained glass. So, I'm not making excuses for you. I'm just saying that you're naming windows, and there are no windows. But if you were to start describing stained glass and these colors, your subconscious might have been reporting, and your conscious mind might have hijacked it.
Right. So if you like, I know it's not a monastery. I know it's not a cloister. I know it's not stained glass, but it's got something to do with the stained glass without the glass being there. Right. Okay. That's maybe where I should reread that.
Even as Ingo taught, we're trying to pick up perceptions. And so that's a descriptor. So if you get rid of the noun and don't analyze in session, then and just go with the description, then it starts to gel. But anyway, the only way you work through it, like we all know, is to practice.
Sure. Okay, thank you very much.
Well, you are very welcome. And I'm glad that I'm sorry you're losing sleep, but I'm glad you're here.
Thanks.
Let's see. And that was, and Jed's not here, Janine's here, Ron's not here. That's it. A lot of folks I know are having a rough week.
Teresa?
Yes.
Can I just make a comment on Pat there in relation to the cave? Yeah. I have on my one chamber-like, and I worked it in phase 4 chamber-like, and I got yellow glow, curved high, covered in green canopy-like. I'm just wondering, was the perception cave-like where the perception was from inside one of the kites? Because that's what I believe I got with the chamber-like, which wouldn't be far off cave-like. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, and you said something along the lines that you were up in the air.
So I'm wondering if it was the perception inside one of the kites. So Pat could have had a perception inside as well, being cave-like. That's all I just wanted to say.
Oh, you certainly have a good point.
Yeah. Okay, that's all.
Okay, I'm glad.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Janine is here, so let's take a look. And Janine is home teaching herself and doing very well. Actually, she tends to beat herself up a lot. Lots of good ideograms and sight contact. We've got man-made motion, life, object. And just so you know, you can take ideograms as many times as you want. You can take them till the cows come home, and then you work your session for the rest of your life, and you might get it done. But as Lynn would say, if you take the coordinates and you start getting repeating, you can quit if you want to. It's your choice, and move to phase 2, because it's like asking yourself, and it's like, ask me again and I'll give you the same. So they start repeating. So here we go. We're in phase 2, and she's got man-made structure inside and outside, blue, olive. There's multiple life, formal, official, ambient, horizontal, vertical groups, khaki clothing, short hat, flat brim hat, and it's got a crown, feeling of archaeology. And now we're on our 3rd session, and so sometimes you'll see viewers starting to pick up on the same thing. Like, and when it didn't make sense before, it's like, that I have 3 people picking up on this. Something's up somewhere. So, now Janine and I had a little talk, because she has a really good namer and guesser, and we identified this when she described a bridge last October or thereabouts. But she describes it great, and then she goes ahead and calls it a house. It was a bridge, and she, like I said, described it very, very well. But it was a bridge, not a house. So when your conscious mind jumps in and names things, you have a huge, huge chance of being wrong. So she's got a young female seated at a large desk and is bending over it. And, we have all kinds of people at this site, and there could be a table, especially if it's a competition or something. We don't know. We can't say that. So we stay probably, unless she had other pictures of this event, we'd probably be saying that's a no if we were grading. And we have another sketch, and I have seen her work before, and from her track record, she is usually very, very accurate with her sketches. So even though, she names them and might be wrong, she has a good track record. And she's having a little bit of an AOL and is guessing White House, Oval Office, guessing. That's not good. You set that aside. That's an AOL. You're not supposed to identify. You're just supposed to describe. But there's a man and a woman in an official looking room. There's a building back there. I have no idea what it is. And it might have a desk in there. I don't know. Can't count that. And since a curve shape somewhere behind. So, crowd of people wearing white shirts moving around. There's some men in red jackets. It's a large area. There's a ball of light in the sky, or up high seems to be thin clouds or something lit by it. Not sure if natural or a lighting fixture. And then she's got a face popping through. Peculiar, half a face. And seems to be wrinkles, long hair, one eye showing almost like a caricature. The eye is prominent and large. She says maybe it's a painting. She's making notes, which is good. Seen a picture of him before, like a founding father or somebody. Now we do have at least one face with an eye up high like that. And it's got long streamers. I don't know about the half part. Well, there is kind of a half. It's got eyes up, no mouth, no nose. Half a face. Her picture, her sketch has half this way. Let's see what else we have. Describing some of the people at the site and describing at least one of the shirts if you can find a match on that. You have to really zoom in on these folks. Seem to be in a room with high ceilings, auditorium, maybe flip seats. and just getting some military overtones. I think we're doing a little bit of castle building there possibly, but now her summary. Original perceptions of life, an object, man-made, natural emotion. Man-made appears to be a structure of an office or official formal desk area. Appear to be multiple life forms, perceived to appear to be a female child bent over a paper at a desk. Man in a suit at a large desk with a woman standing nearby and what may have been a flag or drapes behind and left of him. So we certainly have some fabricy kind of, what do we got going here with this guy on the ground? The desk part looks like a garbage bag, not a desk, but I can't see what's under there. It looks like some chairs. And may have been a flag or drapes behind and left of him. Well, we have at least one guy, and that would be his right, though. If you're facing it, your left. So left of him, not so much. And an impression of what appears to be a ball of light high above, sort of striations around it, like thin clouds, but not positive. It was natural. Could have been a large light fixture. Well, we do have some white things with striations up there, not light fixtures. And let's see, impression of 3 young women wearing what appear to be olive khaki t-shirts sitting down what may have been an auditorium. Odd perception of half a man's face split vertically down the nose. Appears to be an older man with large features, many wrinkles. Had long hair, and the eye appeared large and prominent. Looked as if it could be a caricature or a painting. So without, I purposely do not choose targets with close-up people faces. And if her descriptors are matching any particular person, I don't have any feedback for that. And Janine's got AOL Drive. And people at picnic tables. And she's typing in questions over here. I'm catching up with her. Maybe the windows was the lens of the camera. Always a consideration, Jennifer, not one that we generally consider in the feedback. If there's only biological stuff coming in and there's no biological to be seen at the site, then yes, there is somebody taking the photo. So we do give that, but we don't work the camera itself into the feedback most of the time. So, Miss Janine, I didn't think you were going to be really happy about it. There's some possibilities, especially with, at least the eye and the trailers and the hair and the stuff flapping around. I'm looking to see if you type in more stuff. But, nope, you keep thinking you're inside an auditorium, and unless there's something going on in that building over there, or sometimes they're outside auditoriums, that's always a possibility. It's just not in the feedback photo. Not your best session, you don't think. Okay? So do you think you would do anything different? I know it's like you're having to put this in rewind in your head. Would you do anything different, do you think? I'm looking, so if you come back with something. Then let's see. Ron had a really short session. I don't think he's feeling very well. Janine says, not sure, might try to focus on particular questions to move around. Okay. That would be a possibility for sure. Yep, just write down, if you do give yourself a move command, just write it in the center of the page, or like if to choose, there's still a lot of nouns over here, like shorts, hat, flat brim, trees, leaves. You need to describe those with perceptions instead of naming them with noun terms. Describe the leaf, describe the trees, stuff like that. That might help. And if you decide to explore anything, I love nouns. Yeah, I'm sure you'd be quite the writer. But if you do decide to chase something, just indicate that that's what you're focusing on with your perceptions. And when you're finished with that, make sure you write down, move to the assigned target, and describe. And that way, if you kind of wandered off, 500 yards east or west or north or south, you'll come back to the assigned target again. You're funny. I love nouns. Yes, you do. All right. Ron only has 6 pages, so for him, he usually does at least 11 or 12. And I think I know him well enough to know that he's been helping others, and I think he's tired, that he's not here to speak for himself. And let's see. There we go. How am I not moving here? Nifty. What's going on with my computer? I'm odd. All right. Well, in that case, let's grab Michelle's. Didn't have a name on it, so I was trying to figure out whose this is. She's hiding out up there. Michelle is busy because lots of summer activities going on. So I'm always grateful that anybody can just find the time to do a session and practice. So let's see. Good structure coming down through her ideograms and IAB sequence. Good. We've got so far, let's see, man-made, land, biologicals, motion, and space. All right, so should have pretty, and there's water. So should have some pretty decent site contact. Now we're in phase 2 with tall walled layers, maze-like, and zigzaggy high stairs, left high point, straight, sheer marbly flat, and open, great, and mysterious. Michelle is an artisan, so yeah, I'm never quite sure. She's very able to describe lots of things, so I never know quite what we're going to find. Classically landscaped in a large brass plaque, and if this is a park, it might be. And got something 2.5 stories, so we're starting to wander off a little bit. But if you look at each thing, rocky, beachy, ragged cliffs, and depends on if you're enlarging something. I don't know about any cliffs. There might be some jaggedy rocks, but island feel, way to go. Strategic and the Odyssey. And underdeveloped, sea risen. And so underdeveloped would be more that kind of isolated type. And narrow stripped. Single roaded, there is one looks like road over there. Salty, sandy, rustic, rural, traditional, seafarers, fishing-based story keepers, history maintainers. Are there some storytellers here in the crowd or what? Walk everywhere, heavy loads, cheerful, tied in and out, and you got hauling, net mending. Well, she's kind of into this fishing thing and net mending. Nature studying and research collecting, monitoring, special lace making, old rubber finger work. Something with bird's nest in high rock, symbolism for life and health. Actually, I've been sitting here staring. It looks like little Dumbos. Pink and blue Dumbos or butterflies. I swear that looks like a blue elephant in that tree. Are elephants symbols for life and health? No, it's not rocks. But hi, Michelle. Second, Michelle. Let's see. And we've got clean, windy, quiet, timeless. And it's reminding her of White Cliffs of Dover. She's kind of spent some time over in the UK. And historic relevance, old energy, time forgotten. Not many young, there's an aging population. Well, maybe in one cluster of people, I'm not seeing necessarily a bunch of geriatric folks in the feedback photo that are overwhelming it, but slow, smoky, spicy, harmonious, paradise of photographers and writers, and whistle sounds of communication, robust health, sound of energy studies. Let's see where we're at here. The water's big, dark, salty, and crashing. She's got Mediterranean coastal. Coastal, yeah. Mediterranean, not so much. And reminding her of St. Michael's Mount. And all of you, I swear, I wonder if there's a fountain there. All of you, high rock waterfall into small round pool. Clean streams, hidden cave water like little lakes. Water fish are dependent on livelihoods and culture. Fragile ecosystems seeing change, less fish, secret oil spills. Well, can't say yes, but it wouldn't surprise me. And she's got an AI of walking in the sand, feels good, sunny, and watching men sorting nets. It's a quiet area, and the boats are old, small, wooden, little crunchy shells that are white and gray. So if there are any people working fishing boats or nets, they are not in camera range, and I don't see any that look like any of the kites that she might have tried to identify. But then we get what she thinks are guys working nets. And then we have some folks over here in this feedback photo doing things that launch kites. So you have to ask yourself, could she have a life of pi? You know, is she really trying to sketch what she's seeing, but she's naming it as fishing net? And she knows she can jump in here anytime. And she's seeing rocky, steep, natural cliffs fortress this area. There are paths you can see for miles in all directions. Well, that part you definitely have a good vista. You can see for miles. The purpose is a remote fishing island of historic significance. So if it's a man-made island, which I don't think Pat said it was, if it's always been an island that was there, she might have not landed in the present viewing of the photo. She might be moving around in time and finding something that's more interesting to her, which is all about practice, and you learn to view in the present tense, which is your feedback photo. So summary: target has aspects of man-made land, biological, motion, space, and water. Man-made was sturdy, elegant, temple-like, in sharp contrast with the simple, rough living structures of today. And land was narrow, craggy, surrounded by the sea. Biologicals, mostly an aging population of hardworking, simple fishermen, famous for their carvings. And motion was slow and rhythmic, based on the tide. Nature focused, and space is way out by itself. Beacon-like, pass-by place. And water is the biggest part of the story. Life here is completely dependent of the body of water. And looking to see if Michelle's typed anything in. Or has any comments. Scrolling back up. Let me see. Has not been practicing. I'm scrolling up to see if she had any advanced visuals every now and then. And then seeing where she got hooked on the fishing stuff. Getting some dimensionals right off the bat, which she views fast. Sometimes I think she's on site before she can even hit the brakes. Then I'm not seeing any commentary from you, ma'am. And anytime you would like to jump in here, I'm kind of waiting. Because I'm looking to see if maybe you fixated on a noun and started castle building, or if you're really there and you slipped in time. Because you're getting enough fair descriptors of, there we go, I hear somebody, enough descriptors of, oh, hey, Michelle Beltran. This would be, yeah, it is, I'm getting some feedback. This is San Diego. And we have two Michelle B's, and this is the other Michelle B target. But she's got a lot of stuff here that would work with the island itself, but she keeps going off into fishing and so on, and so that seems to have gotten her attention rather than the kite festival. Which there's the target, which you can hardly see because I've been messing around. Okay, well, Miss Michelle B, we are going to move on and take a look at Jed. And I can see if I can pull up Ron. Let's see, Jed's got 11 pages, and I know he's been busy too. Early on, let's see, no advanced visuals. Early on, he had a AOL of a car. Hey, all kinds of fluffy, feathery animals, birds, porcupines. I think the kites are getting his attention. Animal in a cage. Cement. In front of me, warm and inside. Uh-oh. He's inside, unless he's landed inside a kite. And he's been doing some advanced tool work, and so now instead of just a phase 3 sketch, I have a map with perceptions that I have to sort out. So, oh, horse manure, great. He's getting some dimensionals, round and orbish. And I'm trying to scroll down to his summary or sketches. Purpose of the target is warmth and entertainment. Hopefully, it looks like people are in short sleeves, so hopefully it's warm there. And let's see if he even had it. I can tell people are in a hurry or tired, because Jed always types his summaries out, but here he didn't even do that. So the target has aspects of man-made, biological, and land. Hard. He's got yelling, noisy, clamoring, tall, short, blonde, yellow, thin, oval, and round. I think I have jumped to the biologicals. Yeah, he was describing land, but most land does not yell. There might be people who would disagree with me, but biological has aspects of yelling, thin, oval, queasy, gassy, noisy, all liquidy, soft, yellow, blue, hopeful. And the AOL stray cat of cousins, related, quivering, shaking, running, and falling. There, shoes, sporting event, soccer, crazy, and then the biological is crazy, vertical, erect, stand up, and tall. Frisbee, grouping, the land has access hard, soft, green, mushy, and let's see, tender and dirty. And then soccer game. Summary, the same, continue. Things I found at the site, other were sense of collaborating, sense of belonging, supporting one another, and camaraderie and speed. So if you were launching a kite, sometimes you do have to run. Could be people there on a summer afternoon playing frisbee or soccer, kicking a soccer ball around, but I'm not seeing either of those. I do see somebody walking a dog, and there are sailboats. And I'm looking way back in the crowd. You know, there's probably people grilling and doing other stuff there. I just, without blowing the photo up, I don't think we're going to pick that up. So some stuff good, some not so much. And like I can tell that Jed was in a hurry. Now let me see if I can do a better job of getting bronze, because and this is he's a basic student, but this is a very short session for him. He's getting pulsating and man-made. And my computer just will not work with his PDF, and I don't know why. Never had any trouble with his stuff. Try one more time. I'll save it and go this way. There we go. So he said pulsating, busy people, there's movement and motion. let's see. The man-made is moving green, blue, red, wood-like, rattling sound, and smoky smell. The people are brown, gold, navy, blue, purple, working, uniform life. And the motion is up, down, slow, and across. If you think about how a kite flies, that would apply. And the natural is flat, yellow, gold, short, narrow, rumbling sound. So you have to look at that photo and see if there's anything natural in there that matches up with that. The water is calm, fresh, clear, cool, and deep. And he's picking up holy place. So, you never know what the history of a site is, what might have been there in the past. But he usually draws location type phase 3s. So I'm not surprised with the 2 lines there. Like he might be moving into more perceptions, but then he, for whatever reason, and he's not here, he quit. So he got holy place, and the target has aspects of man-made, people, motion, natural, and water, pulsing, moving, green, blue, red, wood, like rattling sound and smoke smell. People appear to be busy, brown, gold, many blue, purple, working in uniform light, and the motion is up and down, slow and across. So he kept in his summary most of the perceptions that he got in session, because you go through and you decide, you just get a feel for what you think is junk and what you think isn't. So for whatever reason, this is kind of a short session for him, and he didn't get quite as much information as he usually goes for. And here's Michael. So, hi, Michael, and I'm sorry, we just finished looking at the sessions. If you did the target, whether or not you sent it, but it is a San Diego kite flying. And there's no text or history or background information to go with it this week. So, anybody have any questions, anything they want to bring up, just off the cuff? We're good. We have a little bit of time here.
I've got something to say.
Sure, Pat.
Apparently, San Diego area has been inhabited for the past 10,000 years by different people.
Mm-hmm.
So there have been people living there for an awfully long time. Presumably, they found archaeological sites to say this is so. Also, another thing is, San Diego does have religious connections, just the name. Apparently named after a saint, pretty obscure, called San Diego de Alcala, or Saint Didicus in Latin. But he was Spanish, the original saint, and when the Spanish turned up, they made him out as saints. That's where the name comes from. So there is a religious connection. There have been people living there for an awfully long time. San Diego was a military naval base. I don't know whether it still is. Certainly it's where the fleet was moved out from the mainland US to Pearl Harbor just before being destroyed in the Second World War. So there is a military connection there as well, in case you're wondering. Another thing you haven't maybe touched on, if people are observing the site in present time, then of course there won't be kites there, or it's pretty unlikely there'll be kites there.
Well, they're supposed to actually pass the expectation is the present. The present time is the time that this photo was taken.
Yeah. What
So
I generally do is I queue. Well, I have a subconscious queue. I don't report it to viewers in advance. But if I want them to view the target as the photograph, as in when it was taken, I say view the target at the time the picture was taken. Just to say, make it clear to the viewer. So on feedback, psychologically, I'm saying, look, you were supposed to say at that time.
Right.
It's very easy to say the cue forces the viewer there, but I think it's, well, I don't know whether that's true or not. It's something very hard to test. I generally, encourage viewers when I tasked to say, go to when the target was taken, the temperature was taken. That's the point you're aiming for, rather than current time, which is kind of a default for when you're not given that. As I understand it. That's all I've got to say. That's all I've got to say from what I've been able to read about the site anyway. Okay.
And Michael says it's a huge, and I knew just vaguely without researching it. Yeah, I knew that there was some military associated. Michael saying huge military base, town, lots of Navy people and ships. So you never know if there's some big cruiser out just off to the left going by the island and it gets everybody's attention. Then there you go. But wouldn't surprise me. And Michelle says, I got military and religious too. So I always figure if you've got a track record, and that's why we encourage you to pay attention to your stuff and see what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you need to bone up on. Cue yourself with, see if you can start picking up stuff. Jed, for instance, realized, 2-3 weeks ago that his vocabulary is limiting his ability to describe things. So we discussed a couple things that he could do to maybe start, increasing his wordage. Another way of doing that is your personal lexicon, which is thanks to Jaybird, I know that. Your personal knowledge of something, which makes you. You research a site like this, like we're learning about the military base and so on and so forth. You increase your knowledge of cultures and places and events, and it all adds to your personal lexicon and what makes you a little bit of a walking dictionary. So, anyway. And I have a discussion this Saturday for anybody who would like to drop in. I am branching out in the instructing world, and it's a session that's fee-based, but it's to learn about targets. That's coming up this Saturday. Then every other week we do these practice sessions. Anybody can come. You can drag your family, friends, whoever. We don't care. And everybody learns something, and we can introduce you to remote viewing, and you don't have to be a pro, and whatever you learn is more than you learned or knew about when you showed up. So it's all good. And if anybody has anything else, Michael, I'm sorry you just got here. Feel bad that we're just kind of holding things up. And you are welcome, Michelle. And I chose this target just because it doesn't have a whole bunch of text that I could put with it. It had a lot of sensories and motion opportunities, and also space and floaty opportunities. Instead of like running around in a catacomb or a tunnel, this was actually floating up in the air. So it would give you the opportunity to learn that instead of a heavily structured building of some kind or a bridge. So anyhow, multiple floaty things, lots of colors, numbers, ability to measure and relationships, and lots of gestalts. So if you got some of that, or if you didn't, maybe you'll know what you should possibly practice a little more on. And I think that's all I have. And with that, I think I'm probably going to convert back to my desktop and call it a night. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming. Glad you could.